Today's a reminder of what we were talking about on Sunday with Mordecai. Haman, the villain of the story, is now second in command in all of Persia. And he convinces the king of Persia to send an edict out to all the lands to annihilate, destroy, and kill the Jews. Now at this point, I wonder if Mordecai feels a little bit responsible. Much of this was ignited when he refused to bow before Haman. So we don't really know from the text, but being human, we tend to find a way to blame ourselves. I wonder if Mordecai even thought, if I would have just bowed down, none of this would have been happening. Well, the past is the past, and the present is the present, and there's no time like the present to take action and to do the right thing. So when the edict goes out, listen to Mordecai's response. When Mordecai learned of all that had been done, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, and went out into the city, wailing loudly and bitterly. The man's life is broken. You go another verse or two in Esther chapter 4, and we begin to see that all the Jews throughout the empire, as they heard the edict, they also began to fast, weep, wail, and lay in sackcloth and ashes. Now I find that sackcloth, this is burlap, would be similar to this. I read it was made of goat hair and was a coarse cloth. And they would take off their own clothes and put on this sackcloth, and I wonder if it's because they wanted their outside to express what was going on the inside. You know, when that immediate stress and distress happens, you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, and it's just uncomfortable. And you and I think, pretty much been taught that we keep it in or let it out a little bit. Not true for Mordecai and the Jews. When they were in distress, everybody knew. He went into the city wailing, weeping. They're wearing sackcloth and they're fasting. This outward expression of what's going on inside of them. Seems like a desperate prayer to God. Fasting is almost always connected to praying in the Old Testament. They were fasting and they were praying. Has anything ever moved you so deeply that you just wanted to weep and wail and maybe put on sackcloth so everyone around you would understand what's going on the inside? As you're petitioning the Almighty God in desperation. It seems like we've been taught that fasting isn't public, that's your own personal, private thing you do. Well, in the Bible, people were fasting publicly. Here, they're fasting publicly. At the end of chapter 4, when Esther is challenged to take a great risk in her life, to take a step to approach the king, and she knows that she might perish, what does she ask people to do? And I quote, "Fast for me." Esther chapter 4, verse 16. Fast for me. Fasting is something the people of God have been doing for thousands of years. And perhaps it's time to fast again. There's two things on my mind, and you might have something more. I'm going to ask you to miss a meal this week and fast for our Supreme Court as they have the abortion case before them. Fast. Beg God for wisdom for the Supreme Court. Beg God to convince them to save lives. And or pray for our brothers and sisters in India where edict after edict in their states are anti-Christian, anti-conversion, and there's pressure on the church. Pray for their prime minister. I pronounce his name Modi, M-O-D-I. Pray that God speaks to him and changes his heart. Pray for believers who might be close to him in his cabinet that can speak to him. Pray for God to rescue the lives of his people in India. We may not feel the weight of it all, but we can still fast and pray.